everyone, my name is Dami. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, it's just going to be a chilled story time on how I gave birth to my baby in Ontario without OHIP. OHIP is the Ontario Health Insurance Plan. So yeah, I'm just going to share a quick video on how that happened, and the kick is I did it without breaking the bank, you know? Okay, so we're going to go straight into the video, and I'm going to give you all of the tea. So grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or a cup of water, whatever you want, and then we can go straight into the video. Alright guys, so we're just going to go straight into the video like I said. I'm going to give a brief story on how it all started, not the pregnancy, the story on how I had the baby without breaking the bank and without OHIP. So my husband and I came to Canada, just for a quick timeline, or we were going to come to Canada in August, which we did, but we were coming in August, and a few days before our flights is when we found out that we were having a baby. And so, as you can imagine, we hadn't done so much research on, the cost of a baby or having a baby. And so we just got ready for our flights, and we thought about it a little bit, and we're like, okay, insurance or whatever the cost would be, would get insurance and stuff. But we got here, my husband had insurance, but I wasn't able to get on that insurance because apparently if you were pregnant before, then that is sort of like a pre-existing condition. Although some insurance companies said that if it was less than 3 weeks, then they could take me on and then cover the pregnancy, cover the cost of the pregnancy, antenatal and stuff like that. But please, who finds out that they're pregnant at 3 weeks? So most people usually find out around 5-6 weeks, which is around the time we found out. So yeah, that's the backstory. So we got here, we tried with insurance initially. My husband's insurance already said they couldn't take us on or take me on, and so we tried to get information or call some other companies, and we were not able to get on any of those insurance coverage. Although those insurance did say that if you're on here, obviously they will cover other things, but pregnancy, pre-existing condition, and that's what we needed insurance for. So we just let that go. And then my husband started looking for ways we can have the baby without paying the full cost, because when we found out what the cost or potential cost of having a baby without even any complications, it was a lot of money. We're talking thousands of dollars. And so we started the research. I researched a little bit as well, but I was already pregnant at the stages where I was already tired and stuff like that. So he did most of the work trying to find information. And so in that search, he was able to find out about the Ontario, or would I say, yeah, the Ontario Midwife Group, something like that. And so we found that there were many midwife groups in our city, in the province as a whole. And so he also found out that we could go under them, the midwife group, and some of the, or most of the funding will be covered by the health, Ministry of Health, yes. And yeah, so we decided that, okay, we're going to go with a midwife. We're going to work with a midwife. However, all the groups, or most of the groups, were already full. So it's like you have to fill out all this information. You put the time you're going to be expecting your baby, your medical history a little bit. They'll ask you all these questions, only for us to be put on waiting list for all of them. I think we applied to 10, if not more. So we're just putting my information, putting the date we were expecting the baby, what's your EDD, that's expected due date. We put all the information out there, and then it became a prayer point. Ladies and gentlemen, we started praying. So we put the information out there, and we were just waiting, because that's what we were literally on waiting list, and all of them some of them would get back to us almost immediately, letting us know that April, we were supposed to have our baby in April, that April is full, and so they can't take us on. We got some rejections immediately, and we were on some waiting list for the longest time. in between all this time we were waiting, obviously we had to do some what do you call these things, scan, what's the medical term? We had to do a scan for the baby. We had to see what our baby looked like, that she was growing as she should in this amount of weeks, if there's anything we should be worried about. So we did pay out of pocket for the scans that we did. I think we did 2 or 3. And then we're already seeing costs kind of like pile up. I think in the 2 or 3 ultrasounds, that's the word, you guys. Ultrasounds. In the ultrasounds that we did, we paid about at least $100 for each visit. And that was not even funny at all, because I was like, this is just how many weeks? By the time we're closer to the end, we would have spent a lot. So again, we're still praying for the midwife, one of the midwives, to get back to us and, you know, let us know that there was an opening. And yeah, after the 3rd time, shortly after that, I think that was towards the end of the year, we had gotten a message from a midwife group, actually, that they were closing down. That was the first message we got, that they were closing down, and so they had to remove everybody from the waiting list. That didn't seem really encouraging, but then that happened. And then a few days later, I got another message from another midwife group saying that they had an opening, and if I wasn't already, if I hadn't already accepted any other midwives, that I can, you know, come to they would accept me as a patient, pretty much. And that was answered prayers. I can make another video explaining my experience with midwives, but in this video I'm just gonna jump straight into, we got accepted, went for our initial visits, and then that's how we started using the midwives. And so the subsequent ultrasounds, like the ultrasounds afterwards, they covered it. So they would just give me this slip where it's pretty much states that the cost for this ultrasound should be billed to so and so, like a certain accounts, which was covered by the Ministry of Health, I believe I mentioned earlier. And so that's how they started covering the cost for the prenatal. At this point, we still didn't fully, or we're not fully aware of how much benefit it will be for the birth itself, because the big chunk of the money wasn't necessarily the ultrasound. Ultrasounds were a bit pricey, but they were not like what would break the bank, if I'm being frank. So we had a privilege of seeing one of the hospitals in our city. We saw the breakdown for their what do you call it, for their birthing. Like, if you were to have your baby here, this is how much you spend. That's where we started seeing the thousands of dollars, like 7,000 here, 12,000 here. If I were to have a cesarean section, it would have been much more. If I stayed in the hospital for more than one night, every night we incur this cost and that cost, and it was just like thousands, like 10,000 here, 15 here. It was going to be a lot of money, and so we were not even sure how much of this the midwives will cover. And so we would ask them questions every visit. We would ask questions. In summary, to cut the long story short, we did understand that if it was a normal birth, it would be less than, obviously, if you had CS, or if there were any complications and all of that. That was one. Secondly, if we were to have the baby outside of the hospital, you would not incur any cost for staying, you know, for the birth itself, like being in the hospital. You won't pay what they call it is the costly hotel fees, like nightly fees. You wouldn't have to pay for that. So there was the option of using a birth center, but the birth center in our city at the time was going through a renovation, so that option wasn't really open to us. Or a home birth, or hospital. And now if we were to have the baby in the hospital, the midwives would still be my primary caretaker, but I would have to pay the hospital bill for the night. So that was made clear to me. I was also informed that if I were to take what do you call that thing for pain, if I were to take I'm not gonna say pregnancy brain, but something is happening. If we were to take epidural, if I was to take epidural or any pain relief, those things will cost, like it will incur costs that the Ministry of Health, the midwife group, would not cover. So we kind of had an idea of what it could be if we paid if we were to go some certain routes. Also, when we were registering in the hospital, if you are a foreign pay versus a Canadian self-pay, if you're living in Canada, you're a resident, you should say Canadian self-pay and not foreign self-pay. If you have any questions about that, please, or you need any clarifications about the difference, you can let me know and I would further clarify. So that category or categorization makes all of the difference. That is the foreign self-pay versus the Canadian self-pay. And you don't have to be a permanent resident to say that you're Canadian self-pay. But again, just let me know in the comment section, or I'll make a separate video on what the difference is and what you should choose and what you need to provide to be Canadian self-pay, because the difference in the money is a little much, for that. So that's another story. But yeah, so we registered in the hospital. We made our birth plan. My birth plan did not include epidural, not necessarily because of the cost, but it's my first baby and I just wanted to maybe try, I guess, without an epidural. It's not like if you use epidural it makes you've done anything wrong, of course not. But I just wanted to see. I had no idea what the pain would be like before saying that I wanted pain relief, if you get what I mean. Again, another story. I did ask for it. I did ask for it during the birth. I didn't end up using it, but I asked for it because the pain was something. But we thank God. So yeah, that's that. So we went into the birth knowing all of this, and we ended up choosing to have our baby in the hospital because, again, first baby, I didn't want to risk having the baby at home, even if they had assured me that there will be no issues or anything, because midwives do that all the time. But it was my first baby and we're also in between a move, and so I wasn't really certain what the space would be like for having a baby at home, so I didn't want to do that. So hospital, so I knew that we would definitely incur a cost. It won't be 100% free because I would stay in the hospital at least one day for the birth. So yeah, the birth came around. Thankfully, there was no complications, so I didn't have to be admitted for more days than needed. So the day I had my baby, I came into the hospital the night before, around 10 p.m. I had my baby at 3 a.m. and we were discharged around 6:37 in the morning. So that means one night. So the hospital was going to charge for one night of being in the hospital. So yeah, that's that about the story timeline as briefly as I could share. But what was now the cost in the end might be the question that that maybe on some of you's mind is, for that one night for the baby, because the baby too gets charges, even if it is a newborn, they get charged for the birth and everything. So what it all came up to was about $10,000. Relax. It was about $10,000. It was $3,000 for my baby and $7,000 for me. But then after I clarified again with this whole Canadian self-pay and foreign self-pay, there was they had put me on as a foreign self-pay, and then I had to share my information and my immigration status and all of that, and then they were able to clarify and bring me back down to bring me back to the Canadian self-pay, which reduced the cost. I'll tell you all the numbers shortly, which reduced the cost. And what else? And yeah, and also my baby being born here automatically got, or not automatically, but was now entitled to getting OHIP. And so we applied for her, and then when OHIP came and our OHIP card came, I sent that to the hospital and they removed her cost. So hers was about $3,000. Mine was about $7,000 as foreign self-pay. But when they changed the foreign self-pay, the cost came down. So baby's cost is now removed. I'm now in the status that I should have been in from the beginning, which is Canadian self-pay. And that brought the entire cost from $10,000 to about $500. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, or maybe ladies or husbands watching for their wives, that's in summary how we had our baby in Ontario, in Canada, Ontario, without breaking the bank. I'm sure there's so many questions. Many people have actually, even in my friends personally, have asked so many questions on how, can you get a midwife without OHIP? Can you get a midwife at the early stages of your pregnancy? All of that. And for that, I'll just quickly answer. Like I said, I can make a different video, But yes, as soon as you find out that you're pregnant, applying to all the midwife groups will be very helpful, because then you can get a spot quickly. But if you wait for any time closer, you're reducing the chances that you have to actually get on the midwife groups. But yes, apply immediately and then you'll be covered. And also I find that their care generally was just more, they had this personal touch, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like if I were to have OHIP today and or any insurance, I feel like I'll still go with a midwife group because they were just fantastic. Again, a video for another day. But yeah, that's how I brought the cost, or that's how through midwives and research and some other things we were able to bring, and some other information we were able to bring down the cost from what would have been a little over $10,000 to $540. And that's it, guys. I'm sure it's a very short story of this is about 8 months, 7 months worth of research, and a story of like 7 months that I've said in 14 minutes. So yes, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. I'm sure you probably would have questions. If you do, please leave a comment. I would respond, or I would, like I said, also try to make subsequent videos with more information. I know that this information will probably be helpful to many people. That's why I'm here, to try and help somebody who is probably just coming from Nigeria or any other part of the world to Canada, and maybe you have all these questions, or you're about to have your baby, where we were just like you a couple of months ago, and I'm going to be happy to answer any questions just to make sure that you don't spend money that you're not supposed to spend, or that you don't need to spend. So yeah, that's about it. Again, thank you for watching. My name is Dami. Thank you guys for being on my channel. Remain blessed. God bless you guys. Have a nice day, nice morning, nice evening, wherever you are. All right, guys. Bye.